Welcome to Thousand Trails PA Dutch Country in Mannheim, Pennsylvania.
We really had no expectations set for Pennsylvania, but we were pleasantly surprised by the activities in the area and the beautiful landscape.
Join us as we take a ride through PA Dutch Country. As you pull into PA Dutch Country, located right next to an RV dealership, you'll notice that the roads are wide and easily passable for big rigs.
One really nice thing about this campground is that we were contacted by management before our arrival to make sure that we were going to be there on time and that they had our campsite ready for us.
Upon arrival, camp staff will help you to choose a location in one of the loops located around the park. As we enter the park, the first thing we come to is the Red Barn, which is a common hall where they hold events during the week, as well as the basketball courts, playground, and shop. The first loop that we come to on the left is L Loop. This loop is water and electric only, with a dump station located just outside of the loop.
One thing that I always look at whenever we choose a campground is if there's a laundromat, because we do not have a washer or dryer in our rig. The laundromat that's at the campground was nice and spacious. There was plenty of room to move around and tables in the center of the room for folding clothes. They did not have a television or radio in the laundry room for you to enjoy, but I did really love that it was located right outside of the playground where my kids were playing while I could do laundry.
These sites in L Loop, even though they are only water and electric, you'll notice that they are nice and spacious. All sites include your water hookup tied to your electric post, as well as both your 30 and 20 amp pole. All sites have a fire ring and picnic table. You'll notice that this site, L14, is very wide with plenty of space. As we make our way through L Loop, you'll notice that most of these sites are the same way. All very large with plenty of surrounding trees for shade and coverage for those hot, sunny days.
Although this loop might not be ideal for long stays without having the sewer hookups, I did really like how wide they were, and I thought that they might give you a sense of privacy from your neighbor with all the space in between the sites and trees.
Turning out of L Loop and entering sections B and C, these sites are a mixture of transient and full-time permanent sites, with B being primarily 50 amp full hookup and C being primarily 30 amp full hookup. For the most part, these sites are nice and wide with plenty of space in between, giving yourself a little bit of privacy.
During our 7-day stay at PA Dutch Country, we were over in F Loop that you'll see here shortly. I do want to say that I acquired some pretty bad hard water rust stains in both our porcelain toilets. Nothing that I used could I get those stains off with except for a scoring stick. So we had to go to the store just to get a scoring stick to remove those bright orange stains from our porcelain toilets. I will say that whenever I was doing laundry over at Laundry, I did not notice any hard water issues or any rust in the water. So I can say that I'm not sure all loops have the same water issues as we did over in F loop. Everything that we had in the camper had rust in it. Our Berkey water filter that we filter all our water through had a ton of rust inside the reservoir before the water gets filtered through. We even had to go through that with a sponge and soapy water to clean that up before we used it again.
As you can tell from this ride through, majority of the roads through this park are all paved. The ones that aren't paved are very well taken care of. The campsites, like the roads, are well maintained around this park. As we get through Section C and make our way into Section D, you'll notice that there are some really nice, very well secluded tent sites with lots of space. Throughout this park, you'll notice that there are lots of trees, so depending on what type of internet you're using, this can be a good thing or a bad thing. For us, we were using a cellular router at the time with AT&T FirstNet, and we had great signal and great download and upload speeds. The park also offers a third-party Wi-Fi, but it is a paid-for Wi-Fi, which you can pay for daily, weekly, or monthly. Starlink would be hit or miss depending on your site and how much sky coverage you have.
I learned while we were here that this campground does not only have one set of rules, but two sets of rules, and they are not listed in the same place. I tell you this because I hung my small emu hammock from one big old tree, big strong tree, to our camper, and I got fussed out by campground management. The set of rules that I read didn't mention anything about using hammocks. We are rule followers, so I'm not one to push the limits. But I found later on that there is a second set of rules that listed you could not use hammocks, not in the outdoor furniture section, but in the section called trees. One list of rules is specifically from the campground, and the other list of rules is from Thousand Trails. So just make sure when you get here, you read both sets of rules.
We also found now as we enter F-Loop that some of these sites were a little bit tighter on parking because of the big rigs. As you can see here as we enter our campsite, that our truck had to be parked along the road because of the site not being quite long enough for our rig and our truck. And they will fuss at you if it is parked too close to the road or someone else's site.
We were actually asked to park our only vehicle in overflow parking one day.
Some of the sites throughout F-Loop are nice and wide and plenty long enough for most campers or RVs. Ours in particular was a little bit on the narrow side, as we could barely even put our rug out or our awning out without it intruding on the other site next to us.
I would note that if you're coming into PA Dutch country with a big rig and a big truck, that not all the sites in F-Loop are the same size. If you're coming in after check-in time, then you might be stuck in a site that is super narrow.
That said, F Loop is definitely the loop you'll want to be in for a big rig. We really like the right hand side of F Loop as you're first entering sites F1 through 21. All of the odd numbers are on a drop off on the back side. So for us, it was great. Since we have a toy hauler with a deck, we were able to drop the deck over the drop off, giving us a little more space on the front end. Without that, we wouldn't have been able to put our deck down, and we would have had even more trouble parking if we had been on the left side with the even numbers. You can see as we're looking at the road that the road is fairly narrow, so when you're making your way into the park, if it's on a weekend when the park is a little more full, this can make navigating the road a little more difficult and backing into your site a little more difficult as well.
PA Dutch Country was the first campground that we arrived at that had an open and operating store. They had all the essential items that you may have forgotten at home, as well as a grocery section and some other fun things that you might want for the kiddos whenever the pool is open and operating. We got to PA Dutch Country in the out season. We didn't get to enjoy the pool, but the diner was open. We learned that the diner was run by a third party. It was really nice arriving late in the evening and setting up our camper and being able to sit down in the diner and have a meal. We all had burgers and fries. After we ate our burgers and fries, we had some hand-dipped hard ice cream and some awesome milkshakes.
Overall, we really enjoyed PA Dutch Country and would definitely return to this park.